Bertrand Rotagnon, Executive Director, Sales, Products and Data Center at Carrier.
Indeed.
Welcome to Let's Talk Tech. You operate at the intersection of highly technical infrastructure and complex client relationships with some of the world's most demanding organizations. When you think about what a genuine partnership with a hyperscaler looks like beyond SLAs and specifications, what does that relationship need to feel like to work at that level?
The standard of execution they expect from you, not only in one region but across the globe, because they operate in the three regions that we have: North America, Europe, EMEA, and Asia. And so they expect us to set the standard with them, with their team, in every location where they will operate their business and build and operate their data centers. So for us, of course, it's an amazing challenge, but we love it, and we want to be the best partner they can find in the market when we talk about, thermal solutions, end-to-end partner for them to, again, design the right data center with the state-of-the-art technical cooling solution for the data center of the future, I would say.
You start your relationship with the client at the design
Absolutely.
level?
The hyperscaler starts most of the time, the relationship starts most of the time in their headquarters in the US, right? But in terms of design, they regionalize the design. And that's due to the different type of climate you can find around the globe, and therefore you need to adapt your design to the locality where you will build your project. So it is absolutely key for us to be involved with them at early stage of the design phase, so we can provide the right, I would say, advice. We can advise them with the best technology to be efficient in terms of course, cooling capacity, efficiency, but also the power input that we need to reduce, and extremely important right now, PUE. We need to be extremely performant in terms of power, utility, effectiveness, and that's where we can help them to reach their goals.
And let's take two opposing markets, let's say the Nordics or the Middle East.
Yeah.
What would be your advice about thermal design in these very different jurisdictions?
The Nordics is a very interesting market because it's a fast growing market as we speak, for evident reason. Probably the first of the reason is the ambient temperature. It's cold, so you don't need to cool that much if you compare to other localities that will be in the south of Europe or elsewhere. So first thing for the Nordics, advantage, the temperature, it's cold. Second, they have access to a good grid, stable grid, renewable energy. They have a lot of land, and the government is supportive for the implementation of data center. When we work with them, we help them to use a maximum of the free cooling capacity of our chillers. Because it's cold outside, we can use the free cooling capacity of our chiller, and therefore by using the free cooling capacity of our chiller, we use less energy to cool the data center. So that's a direct effect of being involved with them during the design phase. We will have the right technology for them to save energy while cooling at the right capacity their data center.
The other extreme example, how would you work, well, probably much more challenging environment, say heat, desert?
So we could take the example of Spain, which is also a fast developing market as we speak, for different reasons. And Spain doesn't have the cold weather, right? And the new hubs in Spain are in the north, in Zaragoza, which is some kind of a desert, so high temperature. Why they build the data center there, especially the hyperscalers? It's because they have land available, again, renewable energy available, and also the new submarine cable hub, that's Barcelona. When you have high ambient temperature, what we need to provide as a chiller is a chiller that doesn't derate at if temperature, I will say, above 50 degrees. And we know that during the summer in Zaragoza, we will get to that level of temperature, especially because you have recirculating heat between the chillers, especially when we install them on the top of a data center. So what we need to provide as a solution, therefore, is a chiller that doesn't degrade as high ambient temperature. And our chillers, we test them full capacity in our laboratory in Montreal, where we have invested $15 million last year, so we can test the equipment at from minus 20 degrees to plus 55 degrees. So when we again work with our clients, we can be sure that what they buy from us in terms of efficiency and capacity at 55 degrees is what they get on the site.
In this geopolitical fragmentation, energy constraints, and regulatory divergence are creating a window, it seems, for Europe to establish itself as a stable, sovereign, and innovative alternative in digital infrastructure. From where you sit, is that window real? And is the industry moving fast enough to capitalize on it?
The industry is definitely moving faster than before. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we were limited by the grid, the energy and the power grid that we have in Europe, and that probably will be a bottleneck in the future still. Now, when it comes to what we want to do for data center in Europe, I think we think all of us about green data center, and it's where the regulator has a role to play. Because there is smart design again to have with a data center for today and the future. One thing that comes to my mind is the waste heat renewable energy that we can get from a data center. So we can reuse the heat generated by the servers in a data center and inject that heat that we will regenerate, or we will reuse that heat using an heat pump with high temperature, and we will re-inject that heat that we will take from, let's say, 55, 60 degrees, and we will re-inject that heat at 80 degrees into the grid, into the local district heating. So to reuse that heat, so it's not wasted anymore, and we re-inject it with the right technology into the local district heating, to my point of view, it should be compulsory. So now you have Germany and France putting a law into action, and for any data center permit application, you will need 20% of waste heat recovery to be designed within your data center. In the Nordics, they are doing that for years. If you take a data center in Sweden, Norway, and Finland, they didn't have even to pass a law. The developers do it naturally by habit because it's a smart design, and you can again reuse that energy. For tomorrow, as a citizen, what I would like from the regulator is to make sure that first those solutions are implemented, right? And why not going, even further? Technically speaking, we can do 90% heat recovery on a data center, right? So why not studying this kind of design tomorrow?
The Nordics have become something of a benchmark for how digital infrastructure can be built responsibly. On green energy, you've mentioned that already, with regulatory clarity and community buy-in. Is that model exportable, or is it the product of a specific condition that are difficult to replicate elsewhere in Europe? What can we learn from the Nordics?
To my point of view, the recipe in the Nordics is that they prioritize renewable energy. So I think that when it comes to data center, nobody is ready to drop the smartphone or all the data we use every day. So this trend is here to stay. We need to design the right, again, data center with the right energy strategy. So renewable energy is one thing. And then again, I think we can remove the debate towards the water efficiency, because In the Nordics, if you use, so the best thing would be to use air-cooled free cooling, because it's a natural resource, it's cold. The cold is a natural resource when you want to cool. If you go to water source for different reason, maybe it's an AI factory and you have 1 gigawatt of capacity to cool, therefore you will go for a bigger chiller. And if you go to a 10 megawatt chiller, water cooled, it's a closed loop. So you don't really use natural water as a resource, right? But the other things, again, on top of having the right energy strategy with renewable electricity, again, I will come back to the design. And there is so many things that we can do if we have the right partnership and relationship. And I want to come now to the control side of the data center. Because again, if we have the right control strategy with the right remote solution, remote maintenance solution, we can also reduce the number of chillers to do the redundancy on a data center. And we can reduce the energy consumption of the cooling infrastructure. So again, back to step one, design.
The commercial reality of selling into a constrained market. So the energy availability and grid access are now as much a part of the sales conversation that you have as cooling capacity or uptime, right?
Yeah.
So how has that shifted the nature of the conversations you're having with clients? And what does it demand of vendors who want to stay relevant?
We see a trend in the market, and the data center are becoming bigger. The servers and the racks are becoming bigger. Before we were on a rack that will be 20 kilowatt. Now we're on a 100 kilowatt. A data center was 20 to 40 megawatt. Now we go to the gigawatt. This is bringing new needs from the clients and the data center developer. What they're asking of us now is to help them building faster with more efficient units and bigger in capacity units, while still having an ideal footprint. But where we can really help them to de-risk their job, reduce the cost of construction, is to help them to install faster so that they can scale their business as well faster. One way to do that is to bring some modularity into the design of our data center, of our chiller for data center. And so we can build on a chassis on a skid. We put the chiller on the skid, and in the skid we pre-mount all the piping and the pump so that you can bring the chiller, and it's a plug-and-play chiller. You don't have to do the piping anymore on the job site. As well, by doing so, you can do the commissioning at L3 level, which is reducing from a factor to 1 to 10, from 10 to 1, the commissioning time on a job site. So that's helping to, again, reduce the cost, build faster, and scale the business when you're a data center developer.
Yeah.
And that's the direction that we are taking right now.
As the market consolidates around fewer, larger, and more demanding clients, what does Carrier bring to the table that is differentiated? And where do you see the next frontier of that value evolving?
We position ourselves in the market as an end-to-end full thermal solution provider for our clients. So we don't do only the chiller, we do as well the air side, we do the cool and direct unit to the server. We do as well the control, and of course we have a fantastic and talented pool of service technicians to do the commissioning, to do then the maintenance, the repair eventually later on during the life cycle of the units, and eventually the modernization and the parts availability, of course. So we are a pure player, HVAC solution end-to-end, and now we are investing in a full division dedicated to data center. So if we take today's status, we have the front office, the back office. We have all the project management execution team integrated as well into the data center division. We have the commissioning supervisor, and we have the service technicians. So cradle to grave, end-to-end solution provider, and we invest a lot in our people, in training and in more resources. And today we have toward 100 service technicians dedicated to data center, and we will have soon 300, knowing the pipe that we are building for serving our clients in the future.
Thus to cover a period of what, the next 5 years?
Exactly. 5 years. So today our main hubs are the classic hubs in the data center industry, which is Paris, Frankfurt, London, Dublin, and Amsterdam. And now in France, we are extending that team to Marseille, and we are building the team as we speak in Madrid, Zaragoza, Vienna, Zurich, Finland. Finland is booming. So Finland, we are resourcing a lot the team right now so we can execute properly on our backlog and the pipe that we are securing with our clients.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your expertise with us. And I wish you best of luck, and please come back to Let's Talk Tech.